The stars above Zirix 9 shimmered like cold diamonds. The planet itself was just as lifeless, grey, metallic, and silent. Here, beneath an artificial sky, stood the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Inside the great dome of Concord, the Galactic Council held its session, and for the first time in history, Earth had been invited to attend. Commander Alex Voss walked into the chamber in full dress uniform, black with silver trim. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. He scanned the room. Hundreds of alien delegates sat in tall, glowing seats, arranged in a vast circle. Some had scales, others fur, some had no faces at all, just glass domes filled with light or mist. At the center of them all, on a raised platform, stood High Chancellor Vorix, towering and still. His dark purple skin glistened beneath his robe of living silk. A quiet tone echoed through the chamber. Vorix raised his hand. The council fell silent. Today, Vorix began, we address the matter of Earth. His voice was deep and dry, like wind scraping stone. Humans have advanced quickly, too quickly. They have leapt through technology without patience. They colonize without care. They interfere, and now they seek a seat at this table. He looked directly at Voss. They are reckless, emotional, dangerous. There was a pause. Voss didn't blink. He said nothing. Vorix continued. By vote of the Council, Earth is hereby classified as a Tier 4 civilization, restricted in trade, barred from further space expansion, and denied Council membership, effective immediately. A soft murmur rose across the room. Some delegates nodded. A few hissed in approval. Others simply watched. Voss stood still. His hands were behind his back. His jaw was tight. He took one step forward. With respect, Voss said clearly, Earth has earned its place, not by begging, but by building. We have carved homes out of dust and ice. We have survived wars, both ours and others. We have reached the stars not as conquerors, but as explorers. Vorix's lip curled. You speak well, Commander Voss, but words do not outweigh history. Earth is not ready. Voss took another step forward. Readiness is not a gift, Chancellor. It's a choice, and Earth has chosen to rise. Vorix's robe fluttered with movement. He raised one finger. This is not a debate, he said coldly. Your world will comply, or suffer. Voss looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes, or whatever served as eyes, of each delegate. I will deliver your message, he said quietly, but I will also deliver ours. And with that he turned and walked out. Back on Earth, the transmission had already gone viral. Billions had watched it live. Billions more watched the replays. People were angry. Protests filled city streets. Flags were burned. Some Earth, some of the councils. The insult was clear. The humiliation was public. At the United Earth Command base in Geneva, Voss stood before a panel of human leaders, presidents, generals, advisors, all seated around a long table. You kept your cool, said one diplomat. I had to, Voss replied. But we can't ignore this. They think we're weak. They're stronger, another leader said. More advanced. If we fight, we lose. Voss didn't answer right away. He looked out the window, where the sky turned from orange to deep blue. He thought of Earth, not just the cities and the machines, but the people, the farmers, the teachers, the miners on Mars, the children staring up at the stars. If we kneel now, he said slowly, we'll never stand again. The room fell silent. Someone cleared their throat. What are you suggesting, Commander? Voss turned back to them. I'm not suggesting war, he said. I'm preparing for survival. We need to be ready, quietly, carefully. No speeches, no flags, just plans. There were murmurs, doubts, but also a flicker of something else, respect. I'll lead it, Voss added. Give me your quiet approval, and I'll handle the rest. After a pause, heads nodded. Permission was granted. That night, as Earth turned slowly under its moon, Commander Alex Voss stood alone on a rooftop in Geneva. The stars above were the same stars that watched over Zirix 9. Somewhere out there, Vorix and his council celebrated their judgment, but they didn't understand humanity. Not yet, and they would, soon. The sun rose slowly over the Earth, casting light on a world no longer silent. Cities buzzed with uneasy energy. News screens on every continent played the Council's announcement again and again. Earth declared a Tier 4 race. In the streets, people argued, protested, shouted. Some wanted revenge. Others feared what would come next. But one thing was certain: Earth had been insulted, and the whole planet felt it. In the underground war room of United Earth Command, hidden beneath the Swiss Alps, the air was tense. The walls were lined with old metal and newer holograms. Commanders, presidents, ministers, and scientists sat around a wide circular table. At its center stood Commander Alex Voss. He looked tired but focused. "Our world stands at a crossroads," Voss began. "We can bow our heads and hope the Council leaves us alone, or we can prepare for what's coming." "What is coming?" asked a woman from the East African Coalition. "War?" "No," Voss said calmly. "Control, slowly, quietly. They'll tighten their grip, limit our access to space, cut our trade, starve our progress, until we forget who we were." A man from the Pacific Alliance leaned forward. "We're not strong enough to fight the Council. Not yet. We don't have to fight them head-on," Voss replied. "We resist in our own way. Silent, smart, strategic." Some in the room exchanged glances. Whispers spread. "Commander," a European diplomat, asked, "are you suggesting a rebellion?" "I'm suggesting survival," Voss answered, "and dignity." He tapped the table. A map of the solar system appeared in the air. Planets, moons, stations. Small red marks blinked across it. "We have hidden assets, outposts, research labs, ships in dry dock. It's not much, but it's something. If we move quietly, we can build a defense network. Not for war, for deterrence." The room stayed quiet. Then, one by one, the heads nodded. A decision was made. That night, Voss sat alone in his command office. The lights were low. Outside, the mountains slept under a sheet of stars. He opened a private channel. "Begin Phase 1, he said. A voice replied. "Confirmed. Activating Martian storage vaults and lunar comm arrays." "Do we initiate recruitment?" "Hand-picked only," Voss answered. "People we trust. People who won't talk." "Understood." The channel closed. Across the solar system, silent machines powered up. On Mars, old warehouses hidden beneath the red soil lit up with blue light. On the Moon, a forgotten relay station reconnected with Earth. Deep in Earth's oceans, stealth submarines came online. A resistance was forming, not loud, not flashy, but real. Meanwhile, the Council ships arrived. They did not fire weapons. They did not issue orders. They simply came and watched. One ship hovered above North America. Another shadowed Europe. More positioned themselves in orbit over Asia, Africa, and the Pacific. They called it peacekeeping. Earth called it a threat. The Council never spoke directly to Earth's leaders again. Instead, they sent automated messages. All new satellite launches must be approved. All warp gate activity suspended. New tech research is prohibited until further notice. It was control disguised as law. Voss watched it all unfold. He said nothing publicly, but in private, his team grew. He recruited from unexpected places: a quantum engineer from Jakarta, a Martian pilot with smuggling experience, an AI programmer banned from research for aggressive designs. He didn't care about reputations, only loyalty and ability. One night, Voss stood on the deck of a Black Ops frigate, hidden deep beneath Antarctica's ice. "It's not about war," he told his crew. "It's about telling them they can't walk over us." "Even if they're stronger?" one soldier asked. Voss nodded. "Especially if they are." The world above changed slowly. Protests faded. Fear settled. Life tried to return to normal, but people could feel the difference. There were fewer ships in orbit, fewer new inventions, fewer dreams, but underneath it all, Earth was changing too, secretly, quietly, like pressure building beneath the crust. And when that pressure finally broke, someone would feel it. Mars was silent as ever. Red dust blew across empty plains, and old mining colonies stood buried beneath layers of time. But beneath the surface, something had awakened. Far below Valles Marineris, the largest canyon in the solar system, metal doors slid open for the first time in decades. Behind them were vast chambers of forgotten technology, scrapped satellites, aging drones, and parts of old warships from Earth's earliest expansions into space. Commander Alex Voss stood on a reinforced deck inside Mars Base Echo, helmet under his arm, eyes fixed on the work below. Engineers in black suits moved between rows of machinery, bringing it back to life. Sparks flew, lights blinked on, software booted from cold memory cores. "This is where it begins," he said softly. Beside him, Captain Mira Lee, his second-in-command, nodded. She had served with Voss for 10 years and knew him well. "How long do we have before the Council notices?" Voss glanced at a screen showing orbital scans. "They're watching Earth, not Mars. Yet, we have a small window." A technician approached. "Sir, the first of the stealth corvettes is operational. Hull integrity 94%. Weapons calibrated." Voss nodded. "Good, that'll be our eyes." Back on Earth, underground facilities buzzed with quiet activity. A hidden factory under the Himalayas produced updated cloaking panels using a hybrid of Earth metal and salvaged alien alloy. In Australia's deep interior, a cyber ops team cracked into Council surveillance networks, rerouting their sensors just long enough for cargo transports to slip through. All of it was invisible to the public, but it was happening. Voss's plan was simple in design, complex in execution. He called it Project Ghostlight. The mission was to build a small mobile fleet that could avoid detection, gather intelligence, and strike if needed, not for conquest, but for leverage. Earth couldn't win a war, but it could make an invasion costly. That was the point. "Fear is a tool," Voss told his team in a late-night briefing. "We can't outgun them, but we can outthink them, make them wonder where we are, what we're doing, and if hitting us is worth the price." The heart of the Shadow Fleet was made up of 3 classes of ships: Phantom-class corvettes, small, fast, cloaked, ideal for scouting and sabotage; Titan-class carriers, old mining ships converted to mobile bases, slow but strong; Ash-class interceptors, short-range fighters equipped with Earth-made plasma lances. Each ship had a human crew trained in secrecy and silence. They operated under strict blackout rules. No transmissions, no beacons, just encrypted pulses, unreadable to Council sensors. The first mission was a test: sabotage a Council communications relay floating near the edge of Jupiter's orbit. Phantom 03, led by pilot Dax Rami, launched from Mars under radio silence. The ship moved like a ghost, cloaked and cold. The Council relay was an automated station, no crew, just scanning equipment and long-range antenna arrays that monitored Earth's solar activity and transmitted data to Xerix 9. Phantom 03 drifted close. Rami and his engineer used a micro-drone to crawl across the surface of the relay. They installed a spike, a device that would send false data and loop the last week's transmissions indefinitely. "We're in," Rami whispered over the tight channel feed. "Relay will show the same stars, the same solar winds. It won't know the difference." Back on Mars, Voss watched the feed go dark as expected. The test was complete. The Council wouldn't even know the relay had been touched. The small success was a turning point. Soon more missions followed. A warehouse on Titan suddenly lost power, its contents rerouted to Mars. A Council probe vanished near Mercury, never to be found. No explosions, no gunfire, just silence and confusion. The Council noticed something was wrong, but they couldn't say what. Their reports grew vague. Data interruptions, unexpected signal noise, satellite drift. Vorex ordered tighter scans, more ships, but the Council's attention was still on Earth. They had not yet realized the danger forming just beyond their reach. Weeks passed. Earth continued to play the part of the punished student. Public launches stopped. No protests aired on global feeds. Protests aired on global feeds. Earth looked quiet, but in the shadows its people moved. Scientists worked double shifts in secret labs. Pilots trained in silent flight. Voss met with his captains one by one, checking their resolve, refining their roles, tightening their orders. The fleet was nearly ready. All it needed was a reason to be used, and that reason would come sooner than expected, because the Council was about to make its next move, and this time Earth would answer. The warning came quietly. No alarms, no bright lights, just a short, secure message delivered to Commander Alex Voss as he stood in the Mars Base Echo command deck, watching his fleet run simulations in silence. Incoming. Multiple Council warships en route to Earth. Estimated arrival 19 hours. Status. Occupation fleet. Voss didn't speak right away. He read the message again, then handed the tablet to Captain Mira Lee beside him. "They're done waiting," she said. "They think we'll surrender without a fight," Voss replied. "They think wrong." Hours later, across Earth and Mars, silent signals spread. Black Ops teams activated. Ship crews suited up. The Shadow Fleet, still secret, still invisible, began to move. The Council fleet arrived exactly as predicted. 6 ships, sleek, massive and cold, descended into Earth's orbit like a silent storm. No warnings, no announcements, only their presence. Each ship was a flying fortress, covered in shimmering armor and armed with rail lancers, gravity cannons and drone hives. Global satellite feeds went dark within minutes. Civilian spaceports were locked out. The message was clear. Earth was now under Council supervision. The Earth government said nothing. They had agreed with Voss. Don't react publicly. Let the world believe nothing was planned. Let the Council believe Earth had given up. In truth, Earth was already preparing its counterstrike. Deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, hidden in an old military trench base, Voss stood aboard the command ship Resolute. Around him, the bridge buzzed with quiet coordination. Holoscreens tracked every Council ship in orbit. A second fleet moved into position from Mars, hidden by a magnetic storm. "This is not an attack," Voss said to his crew. "This is a message. They call it peace. We'll show them what it costs." Operation Emberlight began in the dark. First, Earth's Shadow Fleet launched a wave of interference satellites, tiny black cubes disguised as space junk. They drifted near Council ships and began transmitting pulse bursts, just strong enough to blind their sensors for short moments. Next, a squad of Phantom-class corvettes, cloaked and silent, slipped between Council ships and planted decoys, empty husks with fake power signatures, making it seem as though Earth had a full defense force waiting in hiding. The Council ships reacted. They began firing warning shots into space, hitting nothing, confused, unsettled. That's when Earth struck. The first real attack came from the moon. A disguised mining station unfolded its hidden weapon, a rail cannon built into a crater wall. It fired once, silent, precise, and hit a Council destroyer's side, cracking its outer hull and tearing through its drone bay. The ship didn't explode, but its systems went dark. At the same time, 3 Ash-class interceptors shot from Earth's upper atmosphere, moving faster than Council tracking could follow. They hit a second ship with EMP torpedoes, disabling its engines mid-rotation. The ship began to spin, helpless. Voss watched from Resolute, eyes fixed on the live feeds. 2 down, 4 to go, said Mira. "Keep pressure light," Voss ordered. "This is still a warning." But the Council didn't take it as one. They retaliated. The largest Council ship, Varus Claw, turned toward Earth's eastern hemisphere and fired a kinetic lance into the upper atmosphere. It didn't hit any city, but it left a visible streak across the sky. A threat. A second Council ship released a drone swarm, thousands of tiny machines with scanning tools and weapons. They began targeting Earth satellites, military and civilian alike. Voss narrowed his eyes. They escalated. "We match." He gave the command. From Mars, the Titan-class carrier Black Echo launched 2 full squadrons. They dropped from orbit like dark meteors, entering Earth's upper atmosphere undetected. Then they climbed fast, sharp, straight toward the nearest Council ship. The battle was short but brutal. Ash-class interceptors zipped around the Council ships, using their small size to dodge fire and land hits on engines and comm towers. Council defense drones fired back, destroying 3 human ships, but not before Earth's fighters disabled another warship's primary core. The ship drifted into a lower orbit, burning as it fell toward the Pacific, controlled just enough to avoid civilian areas. The Council fleet began retreating, not in panic, but in caution. They had expected compliance. They had found resistance, not from a reckless shouting world, but from a quiet, clever one. A world that had learned how to strike without warning and disappear without trace. Later that night, the skies above Earth were quiet again. Council ships pulled back to high orbit, wounded and watching. They sent no messages. They made no threats. In Geneva, Earth's global leaders released a calm statement. We remain committed to peace, but peace is not the same as submission. Commander Voss stood on the deck of Resolute, staring at Earth through a wide observation window. The planet turned slowly, blue and alive. We showed them, Mira said, stepping beside him. No, Voss said. We warned them. Now they know we won't kneel. But the real battle hasn't started yet. He turned from the window and walked back to the command room. There was more work to do. The galaxy was listening now. After the orbital battle, Earth's name was on every transmission channel. Some called it foolish, others called it brave, but no one ignored it. Council-controlled media tried to downplay the event, calling it a containment mishap. But across back channels, independent feeds and unmonitored networks, the truth spread like wildfire. Earth had stood up to the Council and made them bleed. On Mars, in the hidden command center beneath Olympus Mons, Commander Alex Voss watched the reports flow in. One by one, systems lit up, messages from faraway colonies, from rebel scientists, from rogue traders in the outer rims. They weren't just watching, they were choosing sides, and many of them were choosing Earth. But it wasn't enough. The galaxy still thinks of us as a fringe world, Voss said during a strategy meeting. The Council's strength doesn't just come from force, it comes from fear and control of the narrative. He stood at the front of the dark room, surrounded by his officers and communication analysts. A 3D map of the galaxy glowed in the center, with Earth near the edge, small and easy to overlook. We need to speak, he continued. Not just to our people, but to everyone. Preparations began immediately. They couldn't just send a broadcast. Council networks monitored almost every open channel. Standard transmissions would be intercepted, jammed or erased before reaching the wider systems. So Voss called on someone unusual, a former data pirate named Cal Viren, who had once been exiled from Earth for hacking Council trade routes. Now Cal sat in a secure room, with a neural visor strapped to his head and a dozen blinking cables feeding into a machine that hummed with silent power. I can get you 5 minutes, Cal said, fingers dancing through light-based code. But once it starts, they'll know where it's coming from. Voss nodded. We only need one. The signal went out from a stealth relay hidden inside the rings of Saturn. It jumped through old beacons, civilian networks, mining platforms, and forgotten satellites. By the time the Council detected it, the message had already reached thousands of ships, colonies and outposts. On screens across the galaxy, the image of Alex Voss appeared. No flag, no military backdrop, just a man standing in a dark room, with Earth behind him in a soft blue glow. This is Commander Alex Voss of Earth, he said. His voice was calm and steady. Many of you have heard of our conflict with the Council. You've heard their version, now hear ours. He paused only for a moment. We are not rebels, we are not aggressors, we are not looking to conquer or destroy. We only ask what every world deserves: respect, choice, and freedom. People watched from space stations, dusty frontier towns, mining rigs, even Council-controlled cities. The Council says we're dangerous, that we act without wisdom. But look closer. They fear us because we refuse to kneel, because we remember who we are. He stepped forward slightly. Every race started somewhere. Every civilization had its first mistake, its first fall, its first stand. We have made ours. We have learned. We have bled. And now we choose to rise. His voice grew firmer. Earth does not fight alone. Earth stands for every voice silenced, every ship ignored, every world left behind. If you've been treated as less, if your people have been watched, regulated, or suppressed, you are not alone. Somewhere in the galaxy, a group of miners on the edge of the tranary system stood still in front of a makeshift screen. On a council-licensed freighter, an alien pilot paused mid-flight, watching the message repeat. "This isn't a call to war," Voss said finally. "It's a call to remember that dignity is not given, it is claimed." The screen cut to black. Transmission complete. Back at Council Command on Xerix 9, High Chancellor Vorex stood in his high chamber, watching the ripple of Voss's words spread across reports and subspace news. Delegates argued around him. Some called for immediate military action. Others, uneasily silent, said nothing. "They speak too well," one delegate muttered. "They speak too freely," another added. Vorex raised his hand. The room fell quiet. "The humans have made themselves visible," he said coldly. "Now they must learn what that costs." On Earth, people gathered to watch the message replay. For the first time in weeks, the mood shifted. It wasn't just anger now. It was pride, unity, hope. Voss stood in the Geneva control room, surrounded by blinking consoles and quiet officers. "You think it'll make a difference?" Mira asked beside him. Voss looked out the window at the stars. "It already has, because the silence was breaking, and 1,000 voices were starting to speak back." The Council's response came quickly, and without hesitation. Within hours of Commander Alex Voss's message, Earth's solar system lit up with new signatures. Not 6 ships this time, 12. An entire combat fleet from the Council's Central Armada, heavily armored, armed to the teeth. Their formation was tight, disciplined, and unmistakable. They were no longer watching Earth. They were preparing to crush it. From Mars Base Echo, Voss watched the incoming data feeds. Lines of enemy ships moved across the holographic map, like steel knives carving through the system. "They're coming straight for Earth," Mira said beside him, voice steady. "No blockade, no warnings, just full force." Voss nodded. "It's not punishment anymore. It's revenge." The room was silent for a moment. Engineers, analysts, and captains looked to him, waiting. They all knew what this meant. This would be the endgame. Voss gathered his top officers inside a quiet briefing chamber. The lights were dim. The weight of the moment was heavy in the air. "This is it," he began. "They want to burn our planet to make an example. But we still have a chance if we strike first and strike hard." He outlined the plan. It was dangerous, risky, but it was the only shot they had. Operation Ironwake. It would begin with a surprise attack on the Council flagship, the Verith's Claw, the same ship that had led the first orbital assault on Earth. Voss had studied its layout for weeks. It was the largest and most advanced vessel in the fleet, armed with everything the Council had developed in the last century. But it had one weakness: its power relay core, located in the center of the ship and buried beneath several layers of defense. If they could destroy it, the entire ship would fall, and the rest of the fleet would likely retreat. But this wasn't a job for drones or distant missiles. This mission needed boots on deck. Just after midnight, Earth time, the resolute Voss's command ship slipped out from Mars orbit, cloaked and silent. Behind it, 3 Phantom-class corvettes and 2 Ash-class fighter wings followed. Their destination, the Verith's Claw, now stationed in high orbit above Earth, coordinating the invasion fleet. As the Earth slept, the Shadow Fleet moved in. Inside the Verith's Claw, Council commanders monitored fleet readiness. Their confidence was high. They had not detected any large Earth fleet, no formal defense grid. As far as they knew, Earth had used everything it had in the last skirmish. They were wrong. The Resolute decloaked just a kilometer from the flagship's rear hangar. Within seconds, Voss and a team of elite commandos launched from their bay in magnetic drop pods, silent, small, fast. They smashed into the outer hull of the Claw, locked on, and began cutting through the layers with plasma torches. The battle had begun. Inside the ship, alarms blared, the corridors filled with Council troops, weapons drawn. But Earth's team was already moving fast. Voss led the charge, rifle in hand, armor scorched from the cutting blast. They advanced room by room, taking out guards, moving toward the core. Cal, the data hacker, carried a backpack full of bypass gear, unlocking doors before security could shut them. 2 minutes to call, he said into Voss's comm. Mira's voice came through next. We're inside their network, looping camera feeds. You've got cover. More gunfire, more resistance. Voss was grazed in the side but kept moving. They reached the outer core doors, thick, reinforced, humming with heat. Blow it, Voss ordered. Cal planted the charges and stepped back. A deafening blast tore through the metal. Steam hissed, wires sparked, and beyond the smoke stood the heart of the Verith's claw, a glowing column of power pulsing like a living thing. Set the overload, Voss ordered. Cal ran forward, connected his gear, and began the hack. The others stood guard, exchanging fire with incoming soldiers. Then a deep, calm voice echoed through the ship. You should not have come, human. It was Vorex. He stepped through the smoke, taller than any soldier, robes burnt at the edges, his eyes glowing with pale energy. You have no idea what you've started. Voss raised his rifle. I know exactly what I'm finishing. Vorex moved with shocking speed, hurling a force wave that knocked Voss off his feet. But Mira's team fired at once, distracting him long enough for Cal to finish the overload command. Done, Cal shouted. The core began to glow violently. Fall back, Voss ordered. The team raced down the corridor as the walls shook behind them. Sparks flew. Gravity shifted. The ship groaned from deep within. They reached the hangar, jumped into the last emergency shuttle, and launched just as the explosion tore through the center of the Verith's claw. From Earth's orbit, the flash looked like a small sun blooming into space. The Council fleet stopped, and then slowly began to retreat. On Earth, people watched as the Council ships turned and left orbit, their flagship burning behind them. The skies were clear again. In Geneva, the Earth Assembly received the news in stunned silence. Then slowly they stood, every delegate, every leader, and applauded. It wasn't just a victory. It was proof. Earth had done the impossible. On Mars, in the medical bay of the Resolute, Voss sat on a table, bandaged and bruised. Mira entered the room. You did it, she said. Voss shook his head. We did. She handed him a message, a new transmission from Zirix 9. The Council was demanding a ceasefire. They wanted talks. He smiled faintly. Now they talk. He stood and walked to the window. Earth shined in the distance, blue, strong, unbroken. It wasn't over, but the galaxy would never look at it the same way again. Earth was quiet again, but it was not the same Earth. The Council fleet was gone. The sky, once filled with foreign ships, now belonged to Earth alone. People emerged from homes and bunkers to gaze upward, no longer in fear but in awe. Across every continent, celebrations were quiet and personal. Flags waved from rooftops. Families lit lanterns. Children drew stars in the dirt. And through it all, one truth echoed. Earth had stood its ground. At the United Earth Assembly in Geneva, world leaders sat in the newly restored council chamber, a circular hall made of steel and glass, open to the sun and sky. For the first time in weeks, the building wasn't under lockdown. Commander Alex Voss entered in full uniform, still bruised from the battle aboard the Verith's claw. He stood tall, his gaze sweeping the room. Applause rose to greet him, not thunderous, not forced but honest, grateful. President Hallam of the Eastern Confederation stood to speak. The Galactic Council has requested talks. They offer Earth a formal seat, Tier 1 status, trade rights, technology exchange. Murmurs spread through the room. Some smiled, some frowned. Voss stayed silent. They want peace, Hallam continued. They say we've earned it. Still, Voss didn't speak. Not yet. Another delegate stood. We fought for this. We should take the seat, join the council, use our voice. Another disagreed. After what they did, after what they called us, the chamber filled with voices debating, arguing, weighing the choice. Then Voss raised his hand, and the room fell silent. He stepped forward to the center of the circle. We didn't fight for a seat, he said quietly. We fought to prove we didn't need their permission to exist. He looked around the room. We've been given nothing. We claimed what was already ours, Our right to grow, to speak, to choose. Some delegates nodded. Others sat, thinking. They want peace now because we've shown them strength. That's fine. We'll speak with them. We'll trade. We'll share ideas. But we don't kneel. Not to them. Not to anyone. He paused. If we join, it must be on our terms. Not as a student. Not as a subject. As an equal. Silence followed. Then slowly the delegates began to agree. One by one, heads nodded. Earth would speak to the galaxy, but not with bent backs or quiet mouths. Weeks later, the skies above Earth remained peaceful. Council patrols were gone. Spaceports reopened. Science labs resumed research without restriction. Earth ships began exploring again, this time watched with caution, not contempt. At the edge of Earth's orbit, the Resolute floated quietly above the curve of the planet. Its mission was done, its weapons powered down. Inside the observation deck, Voss stood alone. Mira entered beside him, holding a small case. "They're giving you a medal," she said. "I don't want one. You're getting one anyway." They both smiled. "Going to stay on the Resolute?" she asked. "No," Voss replied. "I'm retiring." Mira raised an eyebrow. "You? Retire?" Voss nodded. "The fight's over for now. Time to let others lead." He turned to the window. Earth spun slowly below. "We gave them something," he said. "What?" "A story to tell." Mira smiled. "And a warning," she added. Voss nodded again. "No one insults humanity without hearing us roar." He left the ship that night, taking a small private shuttle back to Earth. No ceremony, no parade, just a quiet return home. The council, shaken but unbroken, began to change. Slowly, other worlds spoke louder now. Smaller civilizations demanded more say. Earth had broken the silence, and the ripples spread far. Voss never returned to public life. He lived in the northern forests of Canada, where the sky was wide and the nights were full of stars. He didn't need to speak anymore. He had already said enough, and the galaxy had heard him.